Hi, welcome to this special webinar series on bush survival and managing in times of crisis. My name's Rod Evans. I teach in the Curtin University MBA program. I teach strategy. I'm also a company director. I chair a number of companies, and I also run a business called the Ideas Factory, where we help people come up with breakthrough ideas. I have a number of hobbies, and one of my hobbies is bush survival. And in this webinar series, I thought it'd be interesting to look at some of the techniques that are taught in bush survival to manage in times of crisis. Let me just put a screen up for you and I'll go through some of these techniques now. So this is just a quick slide of myself. I'm not a bush survival expert, although I've spent a number of years studying bush survival. This slide here shows some of the walks I've done. I've twice walked from Derby across to Kununurra in the northwest, and I've also walked from Rawlinna in Western Australia over to Cook in South Australia, and I've also undertaken a number of just a very, very short couple of day survival exercises in some of the remote parts of the Midwest. In bush survival, we have a concept called the rule of threes, and basically this is designed to help people prioritise in the survival situation. And the rule of three says that we can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 hours without shelter, 3 minutes without air, and 3 seconds without the will to live. These numbers are not entirely accurate because they depend on the circumstance. I've certainly gone 17 days without food in an exercise that I did at one stage. But the important thing in the rule of threes is that the concept that we only can survive 3 seconds without the will to live. And basically this is to demonstrate that our highest priority is to manage our own thought process. And therefore, understanding how to manage anxiety and fear is a central plank within bush survival. In understanding fear actually has a good and a bad side. The good side is that it's natural. It's an unavoidable phenomena when you're in a crisis that you're going to feel some level of fear. Some people feel more fear, others less, but everybody should feel some level of fear. And the reason why it's good to feel fear is because it causes us to react. And if we weren't able to react or we didn't react, then that would impact our survival. So fear is actually a good thing. Where it's bad is that it can lead us, if we don't control it, to panic or making poor decisions. And so therefore, an important aspect in bush survival is teaching people how to manage this level of anxiety and fear that they may feel. There's 6 actions that are important in managing anxiety and fear. The first is to stop. So when a situation arises that creates a potential crisis, you stop, you relax, make a cup of tea, take it easy. Another concept within managing anxiety and fear is the concept of avoiding complaining. Complaining absolutely achieves nothing. It's a negative, it has negative impact on the planning that needs to occur. You must avoid complaining at all costs. In survival, there's an understanding that knowledge counters fear. And so much of the bush survival training is around building your knowledge base before you get into the crisis. But even once you're in the crisis, there's a number of steps that you should be taking to build your knowledge. And the more knowledge you have, the less anxiety and fear you will experience. The fourth is to keep things in context. You need to appreciate the situation you're in and what's a real fact and what's just a myth, what's valuable, what's not valuable. But the more context you create around your situation, the easier it is to survive through it, and also to appreciate that you're not actually the first or the last person that will be in your situation. Others have survived it, therefore why can't you? Another thing that can significantly impact your ability to manage anxiety and fear is to actually turn your mind around into a positive state and start looking for opportunity. And in every crisis situation, opportunity does arise, and sometimes this is an unexpected opportunity of learning or some other activity that you can get involved in that benefits you or the group going forward. So you start looking for opportunity. And then finally, you need to find reasons to smile. Daniel Kahneman, who's a researcher in the area of thinking and decision making, wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow, in which he references one of his experiments where he asked people just to turn up the corners of their mouths. And what he found was when people turned up the corners of their mouths into the shape of a smile, they actually became more optimistic and were able to think clearer. So just simply putting a smile on your face when you're in a moment of anxiety and fear can have a significant benefit. Finally, I want to just mention before I conclude this webinar a book called Who Moved My Cheese? Many of us will feel some level of anxiety and fear during COVID-19 because basically our circumstances have changed. And this is a great book to read. It costs about $20. Should be able to still get it online. It was published first in 1998. It's a fable of two mice who go out each morning and they go to this particular place where there's a source of cheese, and the cheese is always there and it's always been plentiful. And then one day they turn up and the cheese is not there. And it actually it tells a story of how each of the mice react to the situation and what they do. And it's very inspiring and uplifting. And if you have the opportunity or you're feeling a little bit anxious and fearful about the current situation and the unexpected changes that have come about because of COVID-19, so you can get hold of this book. It can certainly help you to manage your anxiety and fear. So look, that's it for me for the first of these webinars. In the next webinar, I'll look at specifically managing isolation and boredom. Okay, until then, have a great day. See you later.